Hello, good evening, assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host, Ahmed Nawaz. Now, tonight's show, we're going to be focusing on cricket that is happening in Pakistan, as well as the World Cup preparations for the ICC's ODI World Cup to begin in a month's of time, that too in the England and Wales. Of course, we know that Pakistan's team preparations have been talked about a lot, and they frankly look like a hoax. As far as the coach is concerned, Mickey Arthur did say that no compromise would be made over fitness as well. But after a disappointing performance in the UAE against Australia being whitewashed by 5-0, there are some questions that need to be answered, as well as the concept of resting one of your fine players. It's understandable that they needed some time off, but the national captain at a stage when he wanted to get his combinations right as well, and obviously select some of these guys he wants to carry for the World Cup as well. This is a real question mark because, frankly speaking, the selection committee and the management have got a huge bunch of questions that they need to answer to the Pakistani nation, and of course to all of those cricket pundits out there as well who are now questioning Pakistan's performance and of course their approach towards this World Cup, which begins, like I said, in just a month of time now. And obviously before that we've got an England series which includes 1 T20 international and 5 one-days as well. Besides that, if we talk about on the domestic stage as well, we know that the Prime Minister Imran Khan also talked about revamping the domestic structure in Pakistan, and for that he wants the role of departments to be curtailed. But there's a lot of baggage involved with these departments, and we're going to be discussing how we're going to get rid of that, or how can we adjust them if we want to take it towards the regional side as well, because 6 regions is what the Prime Minister wants, or probably you can stretch it to a notch of 8 or 10. But then again, the question does arise is what happens to all of those players who are salaried employees of these departments as well. As far as domestic is concerned, the Pakistan One Day Cup has started. It has begun from today in Rawalpindi as well. It's a very important domestic tournament. Obviously, if we move our focus from T20 cricket to the one-day side as well, it becomes very important in terms of the domestic structure for Pakistan as well. We've been joined in studios. We've got 2 very fantastic guests, and they're going to be discussing this with us as well. And we're going to be discussing, of course, a lot in detail as well. We've got she's here. She's been traveling all over the place. We see her on television as well, but she's been kind enough to come to Sports Section. We're going to have a chat as well. We've got Bisma Ahmed. Bisma, assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Sports Section.
Thank you so much.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
How has your travel been?
It's been fantastic, especially after the PSL. I think even before that, it was way too much traveling. But thankfully, there's a few months off before we hit our next series. I mean, if we're not focusing on Pakistan Cup, that is.
Yeah.
So travels have been fantastic. I always enjoy traveling, especially when it's for cricket.
Well, traveling's been fantastic, but the series hasn't been that much, has it?
The series has been very disappointing. They labeled it an experimental series, which I think was just a label to get away with all the bad performances, bad decisions that we had. But yeah, I guess it's just gone, and we should focus on the future. We should focus on the camp that's going to start really soon. You rightly mentioned fitness. Fitness is a very big concern for the management.
Yeah.
So we're going to have the guys will probably go in for fitness tests, I think in a week or couple of weeks' time. So that's something that we're all looking forward to.
Right, and we also have another very fantastic guest, Mr. Rizwan Haider, who's a sports journalist, a senior sports journalist, and he's a sports anchor as well. Rizwan, assalamu alaikum, welcome to Sports Section.
Thank you very much. Thanks
right,
for inviting
we have had a disappointing month, haven't we, in terms of cricket?
Yeah, exactly. Like before the series, like there was debate, like should we like give rest to our main players or not? But management and coach and obviously the selectors, they went with the new players, but it was disappointing. Look at the 5 players, they made centuries from Pakistan, and at the end result, like we lost 5-0. Like there were 2 games, we were close, we could like win those games, but unfortunately at the end, like it was the same blunders. If we talk about the individuals, like Umar Akmal, he was in a position that he could have like won us like a couple of games, but unfortunately he did well in the PSL. He came back in the national team, but again the same scenario, those 35 to 40 runs, but he could not finish the game. These are the things that like management and the selectors, they need to I guess find new players now. Like it's enough now. He's been playing from last like 10 years, I guess. Same goes with Ahmed Shehzad. Like it's time, like we need to look beyond these players, like give chance to the other players. Like the Fakhr Zaman, he came like a couple of years before. Now he's like an integral part of our ODI team. And similarly, like we need to find new players.
Youngsters,
I think it's enough, and they have been given so many chances already.
But this is a serious question mark, Bisma, isn't it? Because at one point, your stand-in captain says that we're not here to win. We want to make experiments. At the same time, your coach says, I'm here to win. Conflicting statements. But what Rizwan mentioned as well, it's time we found out new players. New players, not guys who are 30 and above and who've got no career in international cricket right now.
It's very unfortunate how we only bring these bigger guys, even bowlers. I mean, look at the likes of Misbah Bhai, look at Abbas, unfortunately, and the guy who made his debut just now.
Yeah, Abid Ali.
Abid Ali, unfortunately, we missed his prime period, so to speak. Unfortunately, the system is such that we bring them, by the time we bring them, by the time they make it into the international arena, they've already missed their prime time. It's very unfortunate, and there has to be a change. They've been discussing a lot of changes, but I don't think this kind of a plan has been put forward, or this doesn't even seem to be anywhere on the priority list. How can you, okay, we said PSL was a platform whereby all the players, all the deserving players were being kind of fast-tracked, you know. They were all eyes on them, and whoever performed well would have an opportunity of coming and playing for Pakistan. We saw that happening in the past. But that is when you're talking about T20 cricket. What about the one-day format, the ODI format, where we struggled so much, and all the inductions that have been made into the squad, they've been kind of late inclusions, late inductions. So we definitely need, our think tank at Pakistan Cricket Board needs to really bring on all the creative thinking on the table and come up with solutions to these problems.
Yeah, and we were like talking our main players, they were rested. But look at the Australian team. Like their 5-6 main players, they were also not part of the team. Like there was no Mitchell Stark and Hazelwood, Smith Warner, though like they can play from Australia now, but they were not there. And if you look at their bowling attack, like there were many new faces. Like they have played like 8, 10, 15 matches. So we can't say like they were playing with their full stand team as well. But at the end, like we lost 5-0.
But they looked focused. We didn't. That's
it. Yeah. Somehow we always tend to look not that focused. Even our captain, I mean, I'm sure you guys would agree or correct me if I'm wrong. I somehow found the captain lacking focus. Or maybe he was not, I found him not giving his 100%.
You've got a stand-in captain. Your national captain
Which
isn't
captain
there.
you were talking
about?
I'm talking about
three captains now.
Imad, to be honest, to me at least, he looked a little more focused. But Shoaib Malik lacked that focus, that hunger, you know, to go and win.
Probably he didn't have the authority there. He didn't have the decision making.
I guess like she's right. Like I would agree with her. Like he has played his cricket. He has also announced that after this World Cup, he's not going to play ODI cricket anymore. And probably he would play till the 2020 T20 World Cup. And I guess it would have been nice even before the series, they would have announced some younger player like Ahmed that he should have, he would captain Pakistan for entire series. So we saw body language, tactics and skills of captain, like they were changed when Ahmed took over. And I think it's the key thing that our selectors, or management or Mickey Arthur, they missed. They should have announced Ahmed Wasim captain for the entire series.
Yeah, that should have been done. I think we need to do that with all our A games also. Pakistan A, they should groom the players they see as future captains. You know, why do you want to bring a guy who has no cricket left in him, who has announced retirement himself? Why not take this opportunity? If you're experimenting so much, might as well just experiment a bit more and give captaincy to a prospect, a future prospect who could captain the national side in future. Again, like he rightly pointed out, and we all tend to agree to this, that there's some way where the think tank...
But let me be blunt, let me be honest. We've all talked about the players and their shortcomings and everything or not. One thing we always miss out is that we never talk about the management. And when I say the management, I mean it, and I mean it on national television. I mean it, Mickey Arthur. After that Champions Trophy, you've had a horrible and miserable one-day campaign. Let's forget the T20 laurels. But when it comes to the coach, the frustration seems to be there. Physical and verbal abuse to the players seems to be there. So the environment, we've had a lot of stories coming up where people have been hit with things, things have been thrown in the dressing room. This is not something what you expect from a national team's coach. You've got to bound them up.
You are right. Like if you are sitting there and you are making faces and showing your anger, it's not going to help out. You make performance show to the world that yes, I did hard work and the team is playing well. After the Champions Trophy, as you mentioned, we lost 5-0 in New Zealand, and then we have horrible Asia Cup. Like that we played in our home ground. Like we can't say home ground because we've been playing cricket in UAE. So we could not even qualify for the final, lost twice from
It was
India.
the Asia Cup was a terrible
Obviously terrible.
experience.
So the ODI ODI cricket that we are playing horribly, like we are wrong in it. And obviously after 58 days, it's going to be World Cup. And there are a lot of things like they need to just focus and make them correct at the moment.
I think they're freaking out themselves also, because if they've still got two spots up for grabs, as they put it, for the Pacers. So I guess they're also equally confused. And Mickey, yes, he has a tendency of showing a lot of extra emotions. When you're coaching, we understand, you know, that's his style of coaching, I believe. His previous
Which got him banned from South Africa and
Australia. Yeah, that's it. But he's learned a little, I think, over the years. He's trying to keep himself composed, but even the amount of emotions that he shows, he should not be. And he's emphasized so much on fitness. But again, you know, if you follow the pattern, even the series against Australia and New Zealand in the UAE, there were some guys who were called in later on. I think Ahmed was called in later, and so was Mohammad Hafiz, if I remember correct. They didn't go through this testing that's mandatory upon all the players. So the system, definitely, the think tank, the management, there are a lot of question marks surrounding them.
I mean, we often talk about Mickey Arthur, but usually we keep aside in Zamam and the company, the chief selectors.
My next question to you was going to be, how can we just on the basis of some performance make people gods? That's impossible.
Obviously, Bisma was talking about the late entry of great players in Pakistan cricket. Like she gave example of Misbah, Syed, and list goes on and on. Now Abid Ali, like he made like debut 100, and unfortunately he couldn't
carry the form
in the second match. But he's 31. He's been playing well in the domestic cricket from last 2-3 years. And why he was not given chance earlier?
No one
knows. He on the media, we keep raising the voice, give him the chance, give him the chance. He got the chance and he performed. Like selectors, you are
it's your duty
PCB and you are getting Sally Lux and you are selling obviously, so you need to have that eye. You are a great player, okay, you are a legend, but at the moment you are selector of Pakistan and you need to select the proper guys on the basis of merit.
Yeah, but maybe the problem was that when Abid Ali was performing, our chief selector was busy in commercial T20 activities.
That's exactly what, you know,
in players development programs.
Yeah, that's it. You know, there's a definite conflict of interest there, and Pakistan Cricket Board realized it, but a bit late, I guess. There has to be a full stop, you know. If you are fulfilling such a duty with the cricket board, at such a level, you cannot be involved in franchise cricket or their development programs, because obviously there's going to be a shift in focus. He has a very responsible job. He needs to feel that responsibility. I mean, the list of people goes on, even ever since, if we just narrow our focus to the last couple of years, look at Bilal Asif, his entry into the test side was also very late. He was also, you know, he had I won't say he had a string of good performances under his credentials, but
he was good enough.
He was good enough, and if they wanted to give him a chance, they could have, you know, given him a chance slightly early on into his career. Abbas also, I mean, I did not know what Abbas looked like. So, but looking at his stats and looking at his domestic performances, I was like, oh my God, you know, why don't we bring this guy onto the international arena? I asked Inzamam ul Haq once this question, and he was like, you know, the conditions of domestic cricket is completely different. When you put these same guys to play international cricket, they struggle. So let me do my job. Please, you do your job.
And I guess he did his job, and we got a 5-0 beating up. But coming to that, if he said domestic cricket is something different, then it's your job as the PCB to make it very close towards international cricket. Obviously. Because the second biggest problem we're having right now is that when we have the era of the great Wasim Akram and the Waqar Yunus, we had Rashid Latif, Shoaib Akhtar, all of these greats of the game. When they came to international cricket, they had a bunch of 50 to 100 first-class games behind them. So they had that experience. Their technical aspects were okay. You've got a guy who's related to the chief selector who was criticized a lot. He performed with the bat, he shut everybody up. His front foot can now be seen by even an amateur that it's not the right technique to bat on these kind of wickets. But the problem is he's not played any first-class cricket. And most of our guys don't worry about first-class cricket, but because what we've made is perform in PSL,
Shaheen Shafridi, I think, is a great example of this.
A good 30 or good 3 wickets. So does that mean that we're done?
No, obviously you make like very right point. Like the PSL should not be criteria to pick the people they perform well.
I'm going to hang you up right there. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I'm going to come back to you. We've got the very legendary. We've got the Lord of Lords on telephone line with us. We've got the great Mohsin Hassan Khan Saab. Mohsin bhai, assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Sports Extra.
Walaikum salam, Ahmed. Thank you very much. And believe me or not, it was a great honor to do the PTV coverage of Pakistan-Australia series with you.
Right, thank you so much, Mohsin bhai. Of course, I did miss you in the last couple of games. I wasn't there. But since we have you right here as well, so we're talking about the fact that once again, the national team's coach has highlighted that fitness is the main priority. Fitness is the main priority. Sir, I fail to understand what do we call fitness? Because what we saw in Australia was not a lack of fitness, but it was a lack of technicalities and a lack of a good one-day squad.
Well, actually, like I've been doing the programs with you, Ahmed, I've been insisting on one thing. Yes, fitness is very important, your physical fitness. But more than your physical fitness, your mental strength is very important. Your mental fitness is very strong. Because if you're mentally weak, whatever you are physically strong, that all goes away. So mentally you have to be strong. So, I mean, like we see some players, some of our players, after building an innings or getting a good start and then just throwing the wicket away, or just a bowler bowling 2-3 good overs, then going down, you know, they're not staying up to the expectations. So these are the things which matter as far as your mental toughness is concerned. So mental toughness is very, very important. In physical fitness, definitely very important. But mental toughness is so important that it makes an ordinary player into a very good player. And mental weakness makes a good player into a very ordinary player. So this is the fitness I always stress upon. When I was there as a chief selector, when I was there as a head coach, I made sure that all my boys, right from 1 to 11, they should be mentally so tough that even if there's a slight physical fitness problem, but mental fitness covers that up.
Right, sir, because you mentioned this very aspect, I know you've been in the role of the chief selector and the coach as well. I am tempted to ask you this question, sir, that if you were the chief selector right now and if you were the coach right now, let's take both of these questions in one answer. What would be your plan of action now, considering that the World Cup is just around the corner and we have a 5-0 beating by Australia?
Very good question, Ahmed. I'll try to answer it appropriate according to your question. If I would have been there as a chief selector or as the coach or even as the captain, I would have done one thing, that I've got a problem with the opening slot and the middle order batting problem. Fast bowling problems are not there because I've got a choice. There are 6 or 7 or 8 fast bowlers are available, those who have already played international cricket. And I've got a choice, so I can easily pick 4 out of them. Spinners, I've got no problem because I've got spinners like Ahmed is there, Shoaib Malik is there, Yasir Shah is there. And this young boy, you know, like who 2020 is not at all my criteria to pick the one-days or the test team. But you see a glimpse of a potential in a player that he can become a very good player, and especially in a bowler, you can find out that. But batsman is difficult because it's shorter version, and only the top order 1, 2, 3 might get a chance to play 10, 12, 15 overs. But bowlers, they only bowl 4 overs. But this boy Umar Khan is so talented. I was really amazed at why he was not tested in this Australian series. Coming to my main thing, I would have definitely made sure that I should find out 3 strong, tough openers for the series against England and for the World Cup, and a good middle order batsman. This is the only problem which Pakistan is facing, because without Babar and Shoaib Malik, we don't have a reliable middle order batsman. And sometimes you're in the opening slot, you're going for with A, for B, with C. You're not sure that who are your 2 number 1 openers, and then you've got a solid backup as a 3rd opener. So I would have used this series, Australian series, to find a 3rd opener, or rather 3 different openers for the English tour and for the World Cup, which is next to each other, and then a middle order solid batsman. And fast bowling and spinners, I don't have a problem. Wicket keeper, I don't have a problem. But I'm very sorry to say I was covering this series with you also to start with for PTV, this Australia-Pakistan series. And we did not find an opening batsman. We did not find a middle order batsman. I mean, things were, a captain is saying that we are playing the series, we are not worried about winning, we are just trying out the bench. And your head coach is saying something else, that no, we are going to play the permanent players, we are not looking for the bench and things like that. So these things did not really help. What Pakistan should have gained from Australia-Pakistan series, Australians have gained. They have made a combination. They're out of form players, they came into form. We did not, the reason PCB arranged this series, which was very, very important for Pakistan cricket, to make a combination. And I think, personally speaking, Ahmed, we could have done much better. I'm not saying that we have done badly as far as finding out the players are concerned, because we did find Abid Ali as a batsman and Hassan as a fast bowler. But we could have done much better than this. We would have found 3 definite openers, 1 definite middle order batsman to support Babar Azam and Shoaib Malik in the middle order, and then fast bowlers, there are no problems. So we could have gained, honestly speaking, much better what we have gained from this series.
Right, sir, but we talk about this a lot, and you know, this has been the problem ever since, that for how long will we treat T20 cricket as the criteria? We've got a Pakistan One-Day Cup that has begun from today, but I doubt that the chief selector would have the focus on that as well. In the past, we've seen players being disregarded because the management of the PCB was too busy with franchise activities as well. So like one of our guests mentioned as well, that there needs to be a full stop to these activities. And we have to realize that domestic structure, the Quaid-e-Azam Trophy, the One-Day Cup should be the real criteria.
Well, whichever guest has said of yours has said the right thing. And I like when I was the chief selector and a head coach, and I said, listen, 2020 cricket is all fun cricket. And I said to my chairman that I'm not going to make the criteria of 2020 performance for the one days and for the test team. 2020 I can bring in the players from 4-day cricket, from test cricket, from one-day cricket. Examples are there. Hashim Amla, the other, I can give you 4, 5, 6 examples. A.B. de Villiers played all the formats, but he became a top-class test cricketer, one-day player. Then he became a 2020. But from 2020 to drag a player up to one-day and test matches, I think that is absolutely, I would say, very childish thought. And you can always transform a test player or a one-day player into 2020, but from 2020 to going up in one-day and test matches, that is absolutely, definitely, I don't agree with that. And like I said, when I was the chief selector and head coach, I clearly conveyed this message to my chairman that no way I'm going to make T20 the criteria for one-day and test match selection. Yes, from the top, I can bring them down. And as far as 2020 is concerned, one thing I must say here, Ahmed, that it was a great success for Pakistan cricket and for PCB to get this 2020 cricket done. About 8 matches in Pakistan played. Right. That was very good. That was very healthy sign for our future international cricket. But coming again, no way 2020 should be the criteria for one-day and test match selection.
Right, sir. Thank you so much, Mohsin Hassan Khan, the very legendary former test cricketer, former coach. He's the chairman of the PCB's cricketing committee as well, and he gave his expert and valuable analysis of the situation as well. We're going to come back to our guests with all of this, but we're going to go towards a short break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Sports Extra. Now I'm going to go straight to Rizwan and I'm going to ask him that we want changes in domestic structure. Now, is that relevant enough? Because we need to first highlight the importance of domestic cricket, which isn't there in international cricket, or for us especially at the local level as well, because we're treating PSL as the only branding for Pakistan cricket. Rizwan, the Prime Minister wants changes. We realize because he's been the most successful cricketer of the history books as well and for Pakistan. But then again, first thing first should be that these young guys need to realize the importance of domestic cricket.
No, obviously, domestic cricket, like it should be the criteria, and this should be the only criteria, not the PSL. Look, Abid Ali got the chance. He's been playing domestic cricket like from last 4 or 5 years. Like he's doing very well, and he showed that he got the skills. And when you talk about the what our Prime Minister said, departmental and the regional cricket, and but we have to look on the other side of the picture as well, because so many cricketers, like they are associated with the departmental teams as well. Like it's their bread and butter. Either you give them the proper alternative plan, so they don't get affected, and then it's fine. But if you completely erase it and not going to give them any alternative, so it's not going to help them. Like great players, like you mentioned before, they were the product of the same domestic culture.
Cricket, yes.
Obviously, you talk about Wasim, Waqar, or the batsman, or name it, any player who have played from our departmental circuit, they came out from there. So they need to, if they want changes, so they need to give it some time and consideration, so the players, they don't get affected, and then I think it should be done.
It should be successful enough. And obviously in that scenario, you need to consider that all of these players, like he mentioned as well, that it's their bread and butter, and you need to adjust this employment as well.
I think they have a plan. I'm not very sure what that is, but apparently they're going to get the departments to somehow sponsor.
Oh, that got cancelled.
That also got cancelled?
That got cancelled as well.
Okay, but then because we have so many people who are employed, they definitely need a plan B. Maybe that's why it took them some time. They were probably going back and forth, discussing cricket and how they could revamp the entire structure, how they could ensure that these people, some of them are cricketing legends, coaches, there's so many people, endless number of people who've been employed by departments. How can we just lay them off like that? And if not, then do we have a plan B? But like you rightly said, all this would only be relevant if domestic cricket was your priority, and if it was a criteria of pushing the talent and giving them that departmental platform or that first-class platform and letting them play international cricket, which I don't see happening.
And I think they also need to give focus to this thing, that they, to make sure the colleges and the universities, they had the proper tournaments. Obviously we never saw it, but the players that I'm talking about, they talk a lot about it, that at their time, there was proper competition at the schools level, the colleges level, and the inter-university tournaments, and most of the players, they came out from that circuit. So they also need to give focus to this too.
Definitely, I agree.
The youth is very important.
It is extremely important. Look at the countries like South Africa, England,
Sri Lanka,
school, even Sri Lanka. School cricket there is extremely important. When you focus on developing the youngsters' cricketing skills at a tender age, by the time he reaches his teenage years, he's already established a good cricketer. His technique is good, and a lot of countries are focusing on this. Unfortunately, we have at Pakistan Cricket Board, I am very aware of this, we do have a program that is working on grassroots level cricket, but we don't see it happening on a broader level, on mass level. I mean,
probably it's only on the papers, and there's nothing.
That is very
just to get through with the accountability for the year as well.
That's it.
Yeah, but it's about time, isn't it, that we consider one part of the finances, and accountability should be there for every region, not just for one, isn't it?
Definitely, completely agree with you.
And I think, Rizwan, the best way we can put it is, like you mentioned, school, college cricket as well.
Obviously.
But then comes the marketing perspective of it, because I think that's more important. Because India, no matter how much we can criticize them, as a fine example of holding the IPL, no matter what the controversy is, they take that money and put it through their domestic structure. So that's, I think, what we can do as well.
No, obviously, this is the right way forward. And when you're talking about the marketing, from today, Pakistan Cup is going on in the Rawalpindi, and there's no hoarding or the boards, and there's no marketing at all. So before coming to your show, I went there, and hardly there was any spectators.
People don't know it's happening.
More or less, most of the stars players, almost all of them are playing there, apart from those who have been rested from the Australia.
Very, very tired.
very tired. They need a very long break.
But it's like some strange thing. You have given them the rest already. Put them in the ground, give them some practice. They are not playing. And I guess from this it suggests that they are probably 7-8 players they are confirmed for the World Cup, and rest they are contesting that, trying to convince the selectors that probably we can show up as well. Look at the Pakistani team at the moment. Hardly we are the only teams, we can say only 6 to 7 or 8 players they are confirmed for the World Cup, and rest 6-7 spots like they are empty.
No.
They are not sure. This is not the ideal scenario. By this time, like over almost 12 to 13 players, they must have been certain that these players are going now.
Done it.
Of course.
They've done
obviously,
it.
They're probably going to announce it really soon, and look where we are, still stuck with our 25 probables that we're not even sure if those probables will make it or not.
Yeah, obviously. And Australia series, like, okay, we criticize, but one positive that I will take, that they have given chance to Arslan and Abbas too. And like there was a lot going on. Abbas, considering the fact that World Cup is going to be in England, like the seaming wickets and the swing wickets, and but unfortunately he couldn't convince the selector. But at the moment, I think that though Ahmed and Hassan and Shanwari, Afridi, and there's contest between Junaid and Shanwari. Let's see who's gonna make it.
Unfortunately, I noticed one thing this morning. Hassan's name, which was initially a part of the Pakistan Cup, was removed and it was replaced by Junaid Khan, which I was wondering if, they
it is a signal or not.
It probably is. I took it as a signal. I mean, all the probable 25 are not part of the Pakistan Cup, and now making that change, Hassan's not there and Junaid Khan's there. So that could be a signal. It would be kind of unfortunate, but then I'm quite confused, to be honest. Our pace looks decent. I would definitely play Shaheen Shah Afridi. Hassan Ali, yes.
Shinwari is good enough.
Shinwari, I think they were confused between Shinwari, Muhammad Amir, and Junaid Khan. And we all know that the management has a slight, they slightly favor Amir over Junaid Khan.
I still think Amir Yamin could make a good inclusion.
Amir Yamin, I would agree. I'm a fan of his game. He's a great all-rounder. He can, the
amount of chances like they given to Fahim Ashraf.
I wish
like,
they'd
given to
half of them to
half of them. Like, and the second thing that I want to say, yesterday I was present in that press conference, like Pakistan Day Cup. All the 5 captains were there, and Kamran said that this is the best opportunity because right before the 2015 World Cup, this cup held, and Sohail, the Karachi guy, he made it to the World Cup, and Sohail Maqsood. But I don't think this is the case here, because 7-8 players that we think they're going to the World Cup, they are not here. They are not even playing. And rest of the players, let's see like how many would be able to make it to the World Cup. But it would be having a nice idea to put all the players into this cup and then take out the.
It would have been nice if you, like you guys highlighted, that they want to impress the chief selector. I think it's not the case. I think the only guy that can be impressed who's calling the shots is Mickey. So I don't think there is any other solution. I like the time when the great Imran Khan was the captain, because I still got to hear from some people, even from Mohsin bhai as well, that he was the one calling the shots. The selection committee was given names, okay, these are the players I want. And the World Cup preparation, he did it in 88 and he was sure he's going to win the World Cup.
There was the need of Inzamam.
Like, what is the need? Why are we paying him?
Like, as I mentioned, by now, what team should have been certain that this is the team we are going.
And you're not giving your captain authority. Yes. He doesn't have the authority.
Once again, we are going to the World Cup, like, okay, the same tag associated with Pakistan, the unpredictable team. And still the people going to pray, okay.
But there is one plus point. There is one, it can happen.
They're going to play with
Ramadan once
again.
So you never know.
So obviously it seems the same case that once again they're going to play with the emotions of people.
If me, Rizwan and you and all of us can sit in etikaf and pray, we might get a World Cup, you never know. But Rizwan, Bisma, thank you very much. It was great having you.
Thank you so
it was
much,
very good to hear from you as well. But that's all, and we're going to leave it at that. We're going to sincerely hope that miracles do happen in Pakistan. They've been happening ever since the nation came into being. Even the nation itself was obviously a miracle. But then again, the Pakistan Cricket Board really needs to realize now that people want an answer. This is a new generation of Pakistanis that are observant, that know what are happening in the cricket board and outside the field as well. And they want some definitive answers, because they're not going to accept anyone who's not been through a proper process of selection as well. We're going to leave it at that. Until the next show, from me and the entire team, it's goodbye for now.